right, man. Today we got a major guest, man. One of my favorite producers I've seen online, doing this thing. And man, we got a chance to chat a couple times and do some business. Yeah, a really, really special guest out of Toronto, CEO and founder of Big Shot Beats, award-winning producer. Man, he has over 1,000 sync placements. I don't know how he does it, but we're gonna find out today. So yeah, man, Billy Big Shot Beats. How you doing today? And man, I love how your studio looks. Man, how are you doing?
Boom. Hey, I'm doing awesome, brother. It's great to come on here. We get to connect and catch up. And it's amazing that we get to do that on your platform. You see what I'm saying? Like I told you in the past before, I like what we've got going on, and it's a blessing to be able to come on here and to chat it up together, man.
Oh
Appreciate
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like I said, I appreciate you too, because I know you've been doing a music thing for a while, and you got a lot of game to give. So that's really what this platform is about. Kind of introducing you and who you are, and allowing you to give the people, especially the artist community, some insights, and just yeah, give them some free game. So and that's really what it's about. So yeah, let's just start off, man, by giving the people a little intro, and what it was like growing up in Toronto, and how'd you get started with producing music.
Yeah. So, by the way, just to reintroduce myself again, this is Billy here from Big Shot Beats, CEO and founder of, Big Shot Beats. You see what I'm saying? And
Yep.
all that came from, in the beginning of my journey, like everybody else, I went to school and then I ended up going to college for computer science. Then I went to university for software engineering, actually. And then after my first intern within the first year of the program in university, I realized that I didn't want to do that for the next 30 years of my life, at least the way that it was set up. You know what I mean? But I was always into music, grew up in a Christian family. And, you know how it is when you go to church every Sunday, we turn up, you see what I'm saying? My mom put me in piano lessons since I was young. And, at school, I was always, attracted by the music classes, right? Like with the flute and all that good stuff. So music didn't start for me, just yesterday. So that kind of grew in me. And then I remember doing a talent show, when I was in high school with some of my friends. And then, it was cool and everything. We were performing, and I remember recording my voice in between two cassette decks. That might age me a little bit, but, our passion for music grew from when we were young. And then I remember at some point, I think it was Jay-Z that came out with an album, and he had like behind the scene footage as a package of, when you buy the album and everything. And I remember watching, Timbaland and Neptunes, Pharrell, and,
Mm.
a few guys in the studio and everything. So I was like, yo, this part of the process is dope. I didn't like to be in the limelight so much. So I fell in love with the producing part because I said, yo, I can be in the kind of like in the more in the back end. I can be a part of the process, but still make the music. I'm in for that. And I remember I started on the demo version of Fruity Loops 3 back then, demo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Back,
Yeah.
back when the computer kind of got a little bit more popular, you could get one for the household kind of thing. So I put Fruity Loops 3 demo on the household computer and everything. And then that's kind of how it all started for me, man, when it comes to music production, being a music producer, making beats and all that good stuff, man.
That's what's up. Yeah, man. I feel like a lot of producers, especially kind of in this era, started with Fruity Loops. I mean, I know a lot of friends who started off with Fruity Loops. I played around with Fruity Loops for a little while too, and it's just like a good starting point to start off, to just mess with sounds and kind of put it all together. So yeah, man, that's dope. So Fruity Loops. So I mean, how about right now? Like, what's your weapons of choice when it comes to making beats and producing right now? Like software, hardware, all of that good stuff.
So I started with Fruity Loops 3 demo, and then one of my friends, showed me how he was just using a laptop and a MIDI controller, which was like a keyboard that you connect to the computer and to kind of do your
Yeah.
thing. So I was like, yo, this is pretty dope. But he was using a different software than me. So at the time, he was using a Reason by Propeller
Mm.
Head, right? Propeller Head
Yep.
Reason. So I did my run into that. So I was like, yo, let me switch to Reason and let me do my thing. Boom. I was using that for a while. And then at some point, I discovered, Logic Pro because I switched to Mac, and then I used to rewire Logic Pro with Reason and everything. So I used to do my thing so like I could combo a boat. And then at some point I came across Machine, like Native Instrument Machine. So they came out with like the pad machine thing. So I was like, yo, I never really used the MPC or anything like that. And it kind of it looks like it's the new wave. So I started to use that for a little bit. And I let
Mm.
go of Reason at the time. And I used to rewire the machine software with the Logic Pro as well. So then I did my run into that. And then I started using the Native Instrument Machine DAW as a standalone. And then for some reason, a lot of music producers kind of couldn't get familiar with it because it was a little bit, it was a little bit challenging to dial in the sound, but I kind of figured it out. And then I was doing my thing. But for some reason, I always had a timing issue with the software. So over time, as I was using it as a standalone, I reverted back to FL Studio. So that's Fruity Loops
Oh,
that
damn.
we call FL now. So
Yep.
when FL became available on Mac, I did the switch back to it. And then
Mm.
surprisingly, after a little while, I switched back to PC because remember I told you how I switched to a Mac and then I kind of do my thing for a couple of years. I actually went back to PC and now I'm using FL Studio 21 and it's my go-to weapon. Like just at least for me, just the overall speed and the work,
Mm.
the workflow of how things goes when I create on FL Studio. At least for me, is it for me, and then I just stick with it. Everything is sharp and everything is to the point. I know what to play with what. Everything is streamlined and straightforward, and then I have terabytes upon terabytes of plugins and sounds and everything. So it's kind of all
Mm.
mapped out, and FL Studio kind of helps me out with that, man.
That's what's up. Yeah, Fruity Loop is not a joke, man. I think in the beginning, Fruity Loops was like people were kind of laughing at Fruity Loops, and then
Exactly.
it turned into a monster. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Your biggest producers are probably using probably using it, and they're just not saying it. But you know what
oh
I
yeah,
mean?
for sure, for sure,
They're definitely utilizing Fruity Loops for sure.
for
Um,
sure.
so let's do a quick little rundown on some of your biggest production credits, man. Who are some of the bigger artists that you've worked with? So so people kind of know the caliber of artists that you tapped in with.
Yeah. So, in my journey, I started chasing the majors like a lot of music producers, right? So,
Hmm.
I wanted to get the major placements, the major record deal, right? So, major artist kind of thing. So, I got in the studio with guys like Jadakiss, Waka Flocka, Gunplay, Irv Gotti, just to name a few, right? I met a lot of people, but
Hmm.
none of that ended up resulting into something that was officially released. You know what I mean? So I did get, to work on some projects with them, but I had to pivot and do something differently. So this is where I said at the time, why don't I turn to the internet? Like, why not use the power of the internet so that I can, work with up and coming artists like myself, bring something together that can be of value to the artists to the music industry. You're not so that we can hit some numbers and then from there attract the majors instead of running after them, right? So this
Mm.
is what I decided to do, and then through the process, I discovered that I had a specialty and a talent when it comes to making custom beats, right? Meaning that if somebody has a vision or an idea, I can bring it to life. Either if it's something that they made a cappella wise, like they wrote something and it's an a cappella and they need a beat, or they just want to model after something that's out there that's already proven to do numbers and everything. So I discovered that. And then as I moved forward, I started to work with a lot of artists in Toronto. Now I was born and raised in Montreal, which is about 5 hour east of Toronto. But then I moved
Yep.
out of Toronto when I quit university, and then I actually had a group that were doing music in the French hip hop side of things in Montreal because there's a little bit more French there. But then when I moved out of Montreal, I came to Toronto and I built a name for myself. So I work with a lot of local artists, a lot of underworld guys like Harvey Stripes, P Dollars, P Rain. At some point, we got in the studio, we did some stuff together. Just to name a few. And recently, I did some work with the game. I also have a track that's coming out very soon with Drake's artist Smiley. I
Mm,
did some work with a lot of Toronto artists that you've heard about, Young Tory, TV Gucci. There's so many of them that I can name. But for me, where it stands for me is really to work with the up and coming or independent music artists, so that I can serve them at the highest level, and to take it the next step where I'm not necessarily chasing the majors. I'm actually investing into the majors now, bringing it to the artist community's table so that they don't do all the legwork or the heavy lifting. And I spend the big bag, but they get to, leverage some major features at a fraction of the cost by licensing them.
mm,
And this is where I bring opportunity to the artist community, man. So I can name a
nice.
lot of artists that I kind of work when I got in the studio with, but where I really find fulfillment is to take an up and coming artist. We collaborate together. We bring something great to the industry's table, and then we can attract the majors when we hit the numbers and we hit the charts, man. That's
Got
the
you.
vision.
Got you. Got you. Yeah, that's what's up. I mean, that's definitely some big names in there, and I'm sure people out in Toronto that mess with the Toronto scene, they definitely know the other Toronto artists that you work with too. So yeah,
Oh
man,
yeah,
congrats on that. That's
I appreciate
not too
that
many producers, can name those credits. So
for
yeah, that's
sure.
dope. Let's talk about one of the songs that you were involved with. I believe the song is called DWHM.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that something? Is that something you produced?
Yes, definitely. I produced that. And I got my guy Papa Inc. on the track. And that's an artist that I've been working with for a while, up and coming artist that's also from Toronto out here. And then he linked up with DJ Famous, that's out in the States and everything. And that
Mhm.
just that collaboration kind of came together because he has, this is how when you build relationship in the game, and I think that's really important that when you meet somebody, you don't know who they're gonna meet because you're not only meeting one person, but you're meeting the one person and their network. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I
Mhm.
always say that networking, building relationships is important. And then just by that, just doing that link up right there, we were able to tap into the network DJ pool, and that track, went out. So Papa came to me and he's like, "Yo, I need a track that's super simple. I'm talking about just drum and 808. I don't want nothing else on it. Just
Hmm.
send me a few of those." And then I kind of, put some stuff together. I send them 10 of them. Like I send them 10 beats that is just drum and 808. And then this one came out it was a great vibe, and he did his thing on that. And yeah, it's been playing, it's getting views online and everything, and it's only the beginning for that track. You know what I'm
Yeah. What does DWHM mean?
saying? Can we be explicit over here?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, man. They need to know the truth, man. The truth.
Basically, he's talking about hoes and money. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
With the
Right. Right.
drugs and with everything. You see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
when you
I see where you're
listen to the
going.
track, you kind of gonna know what it's all about. But yeah, basically, it's about the typical. You know what I mean? Drug, hoes, and
Got you.
money, and everything. Yeah.
Got you. Got you. That makes sense. So, like, I mean, how long do you remember how long it took you to make that beat?
Yo, it took me 10 minutes, or not even. You know what I mean? It was just the drums, and once I hit the drums, I'm about 7 minutes in. I hit the 808s, 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
that came from a drill that I always do on a daily basis. Like I put a timer for 10 minutes, and I'm like, okay, let's see what I can create within that 10-minute period, and just building
mm,
that muscle and just having the discipline of doing that over time, I can put something together pretty quickly, and then I'm on to the next thing. But what really matters to me is the quality, right? Because I also do
mhm,
my own mixes, and then I offer mixing services to the artist community, because for me it's really important to make the best first impression and to always lead with the best foot forward. So I already pre-mix my beats right on the go as well, make sure that the levels are right, but then it's all about what I feel as well while I'm creating, right? It may be
mm,
fast. Sometimes I can spend an hour or two on something, but most of the time, because of the speed of the workflow that I've created over the years with the template and the things that I've set up, I can get moving pretty fast. And yeah, that track, 10, 15 minutes, and I was out. I built the catalog of the basically the pack of beats that he needed with the request that he made, send that over, and then that was done and over with, man. So yeah, this one was about 10, 15 minutes, and then yeah, it was pretty much done.
Damn. That's that's great, man. That's great to be able to just spend 10, 15 minutes to make a beat that somebody actually really enjoys and
Oh
make a
yeah.
track out of it. Were you involved in like anything else part of the track, or is it just you made the beat, you gave it to them, and they just took care of everything from there?
Yeah, so a lot of times I would go in the studio with him to create, and then we kind of vibe off of some of the things that I send to him and everything. But for this
Mhm.
one, I kind of send it off. He did his thing and sent it back to me, and I was like, "Yo, this is pretty dope. What you did on there was pretty amazing. It was simple to the point." And then what ended up happening is that he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna shoot a video and everything." So we scheduled everything with a videographer, video guy that we had that's in the city as well, and then I made up with him to shoot a couple of shots, and then I'm also a part of the video. I'm inside of the video, get my cameos in and everything, and then
Mm.
yeah, that was pretty much it, man. And then after that, it's just a matter of making sure the paperwork is right, submitting all the information, push it through, and then it got distributed, and everything is right for the.
Nice, nice. So, do you have like a favorite part of the song or the beat that kind of really sticks in your head? Like, there's anything that lyrically or even just a specific part of the beat that really feel like stands out.
Well, the hook is actually pretty catchy. You see what I'm saying? So when
Hmm.
you listen to it, it's like well, rolling money. And then there's a part in the video where he's like making this move, and then he kind of put a funny twist to it as well with the visuals. So I
Mm.
think overall, like he did a great job at entertaining, but also showing up with the quality of the track as well, because this is something that can move people and get people moving and everything. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
just the hook itself is like pretty catchy, coming from the melody being just the 808 and everything, and then mixing the vocals with it and everything. He did his thing. Like it proved that simplicity can definitely win when you don't try to do things. Like me as a music producer, sometimes I tend to want to add so many things, but I've learned over
Hmm.
the years that leaving space for the music artist to do the thing is where it's at, as opposed to trying to impress another music producer with all kinds of sounds. Like you know what I mean? Like simplicity wins in many situations. I find, yeah.
Got you. Got you. So, I mean, did you get involved with the marketing and the promotion of the song, or do you know what you did, or what did they do to actually really heavily promote it?
Yeah, so I push it on my social media, on my channels, and what I do is, I built over the years a warm audience, and I also have an email list, right? So I sent out the song that I made in the email list, and I kind of asked my audience for some feedback and everything. And the big
Hmm.
push that they did is on his side, he had a setup with Vivo and all that good stuff, and with DJ Famous. So by combining both networks, we were able to push the track. Everybody was posting on social media, all our networks, all his networks, all the DJ networks and everything. It went through
Mm.
satellite radio through his contact as well. So it was getting played on shows on SM, Sirius XM, satellite radio and everything. So that was a pretty good push that was happening. But like I said, it's only the beginning of that track, because it's still a track that some people may have not heard. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you think sometimes like a track is old to you, but it's new to the people that haven't heard it. So it's only the beginning
Right.
with it, and I believe that this track can still run ways, at least for the vision that he has for his music and what I was able to create with him.
Got you. Got you. So you feel like the marketing campaign went fairly well.
Fairly well for the beginning of the launch of the track, right? I think that's just YouTube alone. I think we're sitting at almost 50K, or a little over 50K right now. I don't know the exact numbers, but
Hmm.
for a track that's new, and for somebody that doesn't have like a huge name, like we had campaigns before that was running on satellite radio before, and this one definitely did better, and the people were much more moved by what he was able to create from both his audience and the audience of of DJ Famous, that was able to push it out as well through his audience. Like we were getting great feedback. A lot of big DJs were reposting it, and everything was getting played in clubs, strip clubs in New York and stuff like that. So I think it went pretty good, but there's still room for improvement. There's still room for it to get more exposure so that we can keep pushing it out. So yeah, man.
Got you. Got you. I mean, let's get to the the big money talk. I mean, I know you mentioned you got over 1,000 sync placements. So I mean, for the upcoming musicians, artists, producers, I mean, what can you disclose in terms of a little bit of free game on how do you get so consistent in terms of getting over 1,000 sync placements?
So surprisingly, with sync licensing, and by the way, the term sync licensing means that you use music to get synced with visuals for TV shows, films, commercials, and stuff like that. So it took me actually a long time for me to get in the game. I'm talking about 8 years of being stubborn and not getting
Mm,
coaching and mentorship to actually get in the game and get in the door because I was doing it wrong. So I was using the shotgun approach. With me, the talent that I also have is that I can cater to multiple genres. And what I was doing is I was approaching, music licensing music libraries or music supervisors and stuff like that. And I said, yo, I can make a whole bunch of things. Here's some links and let me know if there's something in there that kind of sticks. And that was actually the wrong approach because in sync licensing, what you want to do is that you're gonna want to be intentional and there's a specific lane of music that you have to create and that's the one that you lead with most of the time. And the one that I decided to lead with, from what I've noticed over the years, that was getting a lot of engagement, is orchestral elements in my beats, which we call like orchestral hip hop, right? So I build a
mm,
catalog of orchestral hip hop, and then I approach music licensing libraries, and I lead with value by letting them know that, listen, I'm Billy. I'm a music producer from Toronto. I make orchestral hip hop music. I'm a composer and everything. Are you currently open for submissions for this type of genre? So instead of using the shotgun approach and say, yo, I can do everything. What are you looking for? I said, this is what I'm looking. Are you currently open to submissions for that specifically? And then I just wait for an answer. And there's something in my music producer community because it's equally for music artists and for music producers. We never, we're never not submitting. You know what I mean?
mm,
Never not submitting the NNS kind of like this is something that we use inside of a community. But every single day, I would go in and kind of like lead with that same message. I'm Billy. I'm a music producer based out of Toronto, and this is the genre of music that I made. Are you open for submissions? Now you're leading with value, and you coming to the table with something very specific and niched. And then I ended up having a deal where with the catalog of 20 beats that I've offered to them, they picked 10, and that 10 got into a music library that's basically one of the top music licensing libraries that is out there, and then that resulted in you know my 10 beats to go in basketball game shows like NBA, NHL, golf, One Shot, House Hunters on HGTV, Showtime shows like there's a boxing show, there's a reality show for like upcoming boxers that my music gets played in, and the one show that my beats always gets played in is either for one of the New York teams that play in the NBA or the after show. Like I think it's like a betting show or something like that. Like it always gets played there. I even seen my music on the Olympics, some commercials and this and that. So just that 10 beat deal ended up, giving me an explosion of credits. And that's all by leading with attention, leading with value, being prepared in the beginning instead of using the shotgun approach, sending a whole bunch of links, thinking that they're going to listen to a music. And I kept getting no's, 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 no's for the longest time.
mm,
But you also need to know that if it's not a good fit, no for me means next opportunity, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that no, your music is not good or anything like that. It's just that it doesn't fit for the current situation. So with that approach, uh, even if you're getting no at the moment, we're not accepting any submission, that's fine. But at least you are prepared. You have a catalog of music that you're building intentionally for sync licensing. And this is why a guy like I think it was Vince Staple that said, yo, when I make music, I intentionally make music for it to be placed in movies, for it to be placed in TV shows and things of that nature. And if you're intentional with it and you build a catalog that's for that specifically and you lead with the way that I'm saying, every single day, easily by Googling or even if we chat, we use chat GPT AI stuff, right? give me a list of 200 music licensing libraries that cater to this specific genre, and you plug in your genre of music that you're making, you're going to find a list of music licensing libraries. Quick tip that I can also share is that if you go with the lower ones, like boutique music licensing libraries, you're going to increase your chances to get in because they're smaller. Because, in every industry and any area, some are going to be bigger than others. But if you go for the more boutique ones and you lead with that approach by being ready and having a catalog that's specifically, that's intentionally targeted to get sync licensing, you're going to increase your chances to get in the door. And this is how you can start to get deals. And my deal was like a 10 beat deal in the beginning that resulted into so many placements and accounting. So it keeps going and it keeps growing, man. So for
Yeah.
that as well, it's only the beginning and it keeps growing.
Nice, man. That's a great way to break it down, because I think a lot of people do want to do the shotgun approach, like you said, but I think toning it down a little bit and kind of finding your niche, I think that's a little more direct way, and
Oh
you
yeah.
said more intentional. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a great piece of that's a gem right there. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
and so let's jump right into the what is the Indie Artist Summit? I know you've been doing that for quite some time. Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you just tell the people about what exactly is the Indie Artist Summit?
Yeah, so the Indie Artist Summit, and you've been a part of it. You were
Right.
featured in one of them that I did previously. So basically, it's a virtual event that's gonna, I have a vision for it to become an in person event as well at the time that we're recording this year. But it's a virtual event where I come in and I bring some of my top music industry experts, friends, to share their knowledge, their experience, some value to the artist community, so that I can lead them to to being more successful. You know what I mean? And one of the themes that I realized that was extremely popular for the independent artist community was to boost exposure, right? So I was able to, bring some, it's like a collaborative project that I do online where I interview top music industry experts in the game to share their knowledge, value on, topics that can help the artist community succeed more so that they can tap in to things that some of the exclusive speakers have been able to give results with their students or themselves and so on and so forth. So this is like the latest top most relevant information that you can find online, and I interview them, bring them, share their stories, and then we jump right into the golden nuggets that you can get, the experience, the knowledge from them, so that you can grab it, run with it. And this is what the indie artist is all about. So it's a series of exclusive interviews that I host from some of my top music industry expert friends. And a lot of them, I have personal relationships with them. I know them personally. I've met them in person and everything. Some of them I've met online and all that good stuff. Great. This is why it's important to build relationships, because you can, join forces with someone, bring some value to your audience, to their audience, and this is where it creates a win-win and win situation for both you, that person, and the audiences and everything. So I'm a leader when it comes to leading with value with the artist community. And this is one of the ways that since COVID, actually, since 2020, I started this following the footsteps of one of my mentors. And I started that year saying that I wanted to increase the amount of value that I wanted to bring to the artist community. And that did just that. Coming off of me getting in the room, this is why it's important to get in the room and to go to events, conferences, networking events, and everything. Getting in a room, the relationship that you can build from doing that, investing yourself to go in those places, the relationships, the in person interaction is like no other. You know what I mean? You can build some solid relationship right there, and just by doing that, getting myself in the room, following one of my mentors' footsteps, it all came together, and the relationship that I built at that event, I was able to bring some of these folks on my first summit. And then now it's just a matter of like keeping it going and bring some more people on the line and in the event, in the virtual event that's online, to bring some more value to the independent artist community, man.
Yeah. Yeah. How many you've done so far? How many of
So
these
six,
summits?
we just wrapped up the sixth one a couple months ago, and there's one that's coming up that's going to be the seventh one. And I want to do this year, we're doing a minimum of 4. So every quarter, we're going to have one that's going to be coming up. And then the last one this year, and at the time that we're recording this is 2024. So the last one this year, the vision is to have it in person in Toronto, so that you can meet me in the flesh, in person, shaking my hand, shaking the hands of some of the speakers that I'm going to bring out, and we're going to be in the room, putting yourself in the room and creating an experience, and that's going to be amazing. And because I also have a paid community, we have a monthly song contest that happens there as well. And this is
Mhm.
where I also want to give my first Big Shot Music Club award as well, because all the song contests that's going to accumulate until then, I'm going to be able to pick a winner and give that in person. So the vision is clear. It's just a matter of time now. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, that's super dope. Super dope.
Yeah, man.
We're getting a little bit strapped for time, but I wanted to kind of fit in one last question for you.
No
I
problem. Yeah.
wanted to get your thoughts on, AI, and what do you think, the effects of AI, how is it going to affect music producers going forward? Just curious what your thoughts are on that.
So AI has definitely been a very popular topic, but I think that what we need to realize is that it's always kind of been around. It was just not as popular, and we have to use it as a tool more than something that's going to take over, because we still need humans to input things or to feed it something. You see what I'm saying? It's not just out of the blue gonna start to create something unless we feed it something. You see what I'm saying? So we
Hmm.
we we have to be open to it. I think that, in my opinion, is definitely something that can be used as a tool, so that we don't always, start everything and anything from scratch. So this is something that, if used, the right way, it can definitely be a tool that we can use that can help us grow and amplify some of the things that we're doing. And I don't think that's something that's going to completely take over, because it still needs the human input. Like the human part of it is us feeding it something so that it can give us something back. So it definitely going to evolve. It's definitely going to grow, but I think that is definitely a tool that we should adapt and get familiar with, instead of trying to say like it's going to take over, and it's going to take over the world and this and that. Like, now we should embrace it, get familiar with it, and use it as a tool to help us grow.
No doubt, no doubt. So how can people, catch up with you and find out what you got going on? What's the best place to reach you?
Definitely. So I'm on Instagram at Big Shot Beats _. And I go live there on a daily basis around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also go live on TikTok as well, because I've been building my TikTok channel at Big Shot Beats there as well. And every single week we go live and we do live song reviews and constructive feedback. So I have the live song reviews and constructive feedback show that I host every single week. And if some of your audience wants to submit their music, and maybe one day I'm going to invite you as a guest on the show as well. We go live every
Hmm.
Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern, and you can submit your music by going to www.submitsomemusic.com to make it very simple. Get yourself in a queue. We review your music on the show, and both me and the audience give you some feedback, constructive feedback on your music. And we go live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, and Kick. So my goal is to also create an environment where you're networking with, like-minded person, other music artists, but also to give you some exposure as you were building the show and we push it out. And I'm also the host of the Golden Voice podcast. If you guys are into podcasts as well, and we're gonna ignite that, I'm gonna have Witty will come on there as well to share some value. So be able to look out for that. But these are the platforms that I'm mostly active on, and yeah, I'm looking forward to serve so many people as well and get this thing going.
Amazing, man. Amazing. It's just really good to hear all the things you got going on. And, definitely, if you aren't familiar with Billy Big Shot Beats, I mean, definitely go tap in with him. Look, if you're serious about taking your music career to the next level, you really need to work with an experienced team that has gotten real results for real artists. At Best of the Next, we've helped hundreds of artists gain new listeners, new fans, and even generate income from selling music plus merch directly to their supporters. So if you want to learn more, visit us at bestofthenext.com today.